250,000 men and women, guarding over 6,500 kilometers on land and sea. They are India's frontline guardians, the border men, tasked with the most fundamental job: to protect India's borders. Meet the men and women in the Border Security Force. The people who are India's first line of defense. These commandos are on a mission. One wrong step, one false move could prove disastrous. The enemy hideout has to be destroyed, and the terrorists killed. And once it starts, it finishes in a flash.
Chalo, okay, close karo. Shabash, well done. Sare close, center close.
They are now one step closer to being inducted into the BSF's elite commando force, the Creek Crocodile Commandos.
Okay, आपका exercise बहुत अच्छा रहा. जितने भी militant थे उनको सबको आपने मार गिराया. Well done, very good. ये 2-4 कमांडो ने गलती की है, उसको ध्यान रखेंगे. आगे की एक्सरसाइज में किसी में वो गलती रिपीट नहीं होनी चाहिए. जब भी क्रॉल कर रहे हैं तो नीचे होकर के क्रॉल करेंगे. क्लियर है?
This academy is the training ground, which takes ordinary boys and turns them into disciplined bordermen. Over the next 50 weeks, these trainees will be pushed to the limit. The training will change their lives. Daily drills turn them into mean fighting machines.
HG 117, charge 4!
These men are on an exercise, maintaining the 105mm field guns. These guns, if deployed, can hit targets up to 24 kilometers away. Some of these men are headed up to the high-altitude border. But they need to acclimatize their bodies to thin mountain air before flying higher.
Enemy platoon locality!
We are over 13,000 feet above sea level in the South Pir Panjal mountain range of Kashmir. This is a forward defended locality, or an FDL, a strategic post at the line of control. This thin barbed wire is the only visible dividing line between India and its neighbor. The Pakistani post, clearly visible in the distance. As the snow is still low, unauthorized border crossings are not uncommon. Not taking any chances, 3 different patrol teams are being sent out to comb the area.
इसके साथ ही साथ जाना है पार्टियों की बात और उनकी ब्रीफिंग तरतीब के साथ होनी चाहिए जिससे कि कोई भी जो है चांस नहीं देना है इस वक्त
हमारे को अभी खबर मिली है नाले के
The men set out on their mission,
पेट्रोलिंग पार्टी
and their platoon commander
बाईं साइड में हमारा
gives clear instructions.
जब तक हम उग्रवादियों को खत्म कर देंगे ते वापस नहीं आएंगे
The situation at the border is always a matter of concern. At this weekly meeting, the Director General gets live reports from the border posts firsthand. The BSF's headquarters uses satellite imagery to monitor the situation at every location.
IG Kashmir, a lot of infiltration attempts are taking place, a lot of firings across border firings are taking place. Our FDLs have also been targeted. So what all measures you are taking to prevent this attempt from across the border?
Good morning, sir. This is Jagat Singh. One of the FDL, 5 militants tried to cross over to the Indian side. They were intercepted by the FDL. After contact, 4 have been utilized and 1 has been apprehended.
So this is a very crucial stage when you have to really be very vigilant. The troops have to be really alert so that no infiltration takes place from area of our responsibility. Please guard against that.
Thank you, sir.
The BSF guards over 6,500 kilometers of India's borders. That's nearly as long as the Nile, the longest river in the world. While the Eastern Command of the BSF is responsible for monitoring India's borders with Bangladesh, the Western Command mans India's borders with Pakistan. BSF assists the Army in operating at the LOC in Kashmir. BSF works in conditions from extreme snow to sweltering deserts. Thar, a desert spread across both India and Pakistan. It's bigger than Hungary and Iceland combined. And without a doubt, it is one of the world's most inhospitable regions. It's a border area that saw a pitched battle between the two neighbors during the 1971 war. And now, it's armed to the teeth. The shifting sands means that roads are nearly impossible to build. And this is camel country. The BSF uses over 1,000 camels to patrol the sandy borders. It's also the only Indian force to have a unique camel contingent.
First of all, it's a fence border. Nobody can cross it. If anyone does it, then we are here.
For the bordermen, this is just another day in the wilderness and seclusion of the Thar. But there are other places you could be as a BSF guard that revs up your energy and brings you alive. The Athari border crossing. The gates are wrenched open to the cheers of patriotic crowds on either side. The BSF and the Pakistani Rangers put on a choreographed show of aggression. With powerful stamping feet, twirling of mustaches, and exaggerated rolling eyes. The flags of the two countries come down before the gates are slammed shut for the evening. It's an hour to go before one of the most sensitive trains in India will pass by. Security is a major concern. And this drill is carried out painstakingly every Monday and Thursday.
BSF की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि पहले जब गेट खुलेगा तो एक पार्टी गेट के आगे जाएगी, गेट के आगे का इलाका सर्च करेगी, किसी प्रकार की सस्पेक्टेड कोई चीज़ छुपी तो नहीं है वहाँ पे। जो ट्रेन पाकिस्तान से आएगी उसको जीरो लाइन से एस्कॉर्ट करके यहाँ पे अटारी स्टेशन से पहले GRP की पोस्ट पड़ती है, उनको हैंडओवर करके वापस आना। साथ में डोमिनेटिंग फीचर के ऊपर में हमारे वेपन माउंट होते हैं तथा गाड़ियों के ऊपर में वेपन माउंट होते हैं कि किसी प्रकार की कंटीजेंसी या कोई बंदा भागने की कोशिश करे तो उसे हम चेज करके पकड़ सकें।
The high-profile, busy border of Atari is in stark contrast to the other border areas of Punjab. The border areas are very different from one another, even at short distances. Parts of the border get waterlogged seasonally, making simple patrolling a hard task. The men perform their patrolling duties in knee-high rubber boots.
जब बरसात वगैरह ज़्यादा होती है या बागड़ा नांगल बांध का पानी छोड़ा जाता है तो यहाँ पर इस एरिया में भी, हमारे बॉर्डर एरिया में भी 5-5 फीट तक पानी भर जाता है। कैसा भी सीजन हो, चाहे गर्मी हो, तूफान हो, पानी हो, कुछ भी हो, उसमें भी ये पेट्रोलिंग जारी रहती है।
But further south of this border lies a terrain far more challenging. There is nothing as far as the eye can see. And yet, this salty, barren earth, covered by brackish water for most of the year, has to be constantly guarded. This is the Great Run of Kutch, one of the world's largest salt deserts. This is the western terminus, Pillar 1175, the last boundary pillar between India and Pakistan. Beyond this lie the creeks, the network of streams and waterways embracing the Arabian Sea, and Sur Creek, the disputed channel between India and Pakistan. The waters may look calm, but cyclonic winds can whip up meter-high waves, hampering operations. The BSF has its own water wing to help guard the borders that lie on the water. These fast attack crafts with ultra-modern communication systems are used to guard the waters. Operating in this geographically challenging area requires special skills. These Creek Crocodile Commandos are at home on the water and in the marshes. The creeks, with their numerous inlets, are vulnerable to infiltration. These captured boats are a clear indication of the strategic importance of the area. An area where the bordermen are tested not just by the enemy across, but by the terrain itself. Thousands of kilometers away, on India's eastern front, Bangladesh is a friendlier neighbor. But guarding a friendly border comes with its own unique challenges. Suspicious movement is spotted on the thermal imager.
मैंने हैंड हेल्ड थर्मल इमेजर के मॉनिटर पे अभी देखा कि IBBR 500 मीटर पीछे जाम खड़े हैं। 10 से 15 कैटल का मूवमेंट है और उनके साथ लगभग 20 से 25 लोग भी हैं जो IBBR की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं।
Cattle smugglers. Chased and caught. 1/4 of the Indo-Bangladesh border is unfenced, making cattle smuggling rampant in these areas. In 2014, close to 2 million cattle, worth millions of dollars, were smuggled across the border. Due to strategic patrolling tactics by the bordermen, these numbers have now sharply declined. Just like on the western border, it's not just boots on the ground here in the east. BSF's specialized water wing monitors the numerous water channels around the Bay of Bengal. Covering an area of around 10,000 square kilometers, the Sundarbans are almost the same size as Jamaica, nearly half of which lies in India, and the rest in Bangladesh. The landscape changes with the tides and also forms part of the porous border between India and Bangladesh.
हम अभी भारत और बांग्लादेश के बीच बिल्कुल अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा पे खड़े हैं। हमारे पीछे जो नदी का इलाका देख रहे हैं, इसके पीछे बांग्लादेश का इलाका होता है और हमारे ठीक सामने जो है हमारे भारतवर्ष का इलाका है।
Durga is one of the 3 floating border outposts, which BSF uses to monitor the huge expanse of its river border around the Sundarbans. Each 353-ton vessel is equipped with eco-sounders and satellite navigation equipment to help the men master this challenging landscape. Like others, it's armed with 4 fast patrol boats which act as floating checkpoints to control smuggling and infiltration. The Border Security Force was raised to guard India's borders. But it is now also being tasked with sensitive operations across the country. These men have undergone specialized commando training.
इस ऑपरेशन को हमारा कमांडो प्लाटून 3 ग्रुपों में अंजाम देगा। स्टॉप ग्रुप, रेडिंग ग्रुप और परस्यूट ग्रुप।
The mission to destroy a left-wing extremist hideout. The strategy, planned right down to the minutest detail. This platoon specializes in the jungles of central India. The commandos make their way carefully, ever watchful for any movement, aware that they could become the target themselves. If the intelligence is correct, the extremist hideout is not far.
Carry on the search! Search!
The operation was a success. The enemy hideout destroyed.
Nursing assistant, go!
But, as is the case in many of these operations, the bordermen also suffer casualties. Finally, we come back to where it all began. For these 150 young men, the big day is here. They will be ordained as bordermen today. Strong in body and mind, and heads held high. This passing out parade is a culmination of more than 50 weeks of tough training. As they take their last steps out of this academy, these young men are ready to serve their country's borders. It is an emotional moment as their family and friends help these trainees wear their ranks for the very first time.
It's like they have been preparing for this day. They have been waiting for 1 year to complete this day.
मुझे बहुत ही खुशी हुई है कि मेरा बेटा बहुत आगे बढ़ गया।
We are very proud of him.
India's Seema Prehari, sentinels of the border. Border policemen during peace, and professional soldiers in war. I will not disgrace the borderman's arms, nor abandon the comrade who stands at my side. Whether alone or with many, I will defend everything that my country holds sacred. These men do their duty by this borderman's pledge. Trained for combat in any terrain, and bound together in brotherhood, the Border Security Force, India's first line of defense